Hey guys, Coronavirus with George here. Tonight I want to talk about the 7 states that have not issued stay at home warnings, and we'll talk a little bit about population density too. But first, let's go over the numbers. So, the world has passed 1.5 million confirmed cases. Death toll is 88,000, and will pass probably 100,000 on Friday. 329,000 cases have recovered, so good news there. In the United States, we have 427,000 total cases, 148 for Spain, 139 for Italy, and France is going to pass Germany soon. And we are going to pass Spain in the death toll number. And Turkey and Britain are moving up quickly up the list, and Britain might pass Iran before they pass the China number. And with all these countries, China, Iran, Italy, even the U.S., people question the numbers, just going based on what numbers are available. Okay, so let's talk about what I want to talk about tonight. 7 states, in the United States have not issued stay-at-home warnings. So let's look at these numbers for a minute. And what I want to talk about is population density. And for anybody who doesn't know, population density is a measure of how closely people are packed together. So if you have a population of 10,000 and you have a place that's 10 square miles, then it's 1,000 people per square mile, right? So if people are packed closer together, like in cities, then you would expect the virus would spread faster. And if they are packed, not so tightly packed, then you would expect maybe it would spread slower. And we're also going to go over population itself. So we have that here too, if I can learn how to use my MacBook. So I have population numbers by state, and I have population density by state. And what I did is I went through the top 7 in coronavirus cases, and I marked both population and population density. So let's start with population density, because I thought initially that would be the one that would be more important, but it looks like both kind of matter equally. So New York has the most cases, right? And New York on this list is number 7 in population density. 419 people per square mile it looks like what they're using here. And they're third in overall population, right? California's 1, Texas is 2, and then New York is 3. So it seems like both are important factors, because if you look at this top 7 list, you see either high population density or high population, right? So even with California, number 4, we see they're number 1 in population. They have the second largest city in the United States in Los Angeles. They have a few other big cities. And so even if there's parts of the state that aren't so densely populated, there's other parts where there are a lot of people and it can spread quickly. We'll go through each of these. I guess New Jersey, we are number 1 in population density. That's my state. And number 11 in total population. Michigan, 18 in density and 10th overall in population. California's 11th in population density. Right there, a pretty big state, so you wouldn't expect the population density to be that high. But overall population is number 1. I think they're, 40 million? And their population density is 251 people per square mile. Louisiana is a little bit of an outlier. It's right around the middle, 24th in population density and 25th in overall population. Then Massachusetts, a small state with a decent number of people, is 3rd in population density and 15th in population, and Pennsylvania is 9 and 5. So those are the top 7 in coronavirus cases, and you see they're very high in population and or population density. Now, if you come to the bottom 7, you see the opposite, right? West Virginia, Hawaii, South Dakota, 46th in population density. So people are very spread out in this state, very few people in a given space. Let's go down and figure it out. What is it, South Dakota, I said? So 11 people per square mile. So if you imagine a mile by a mile space, right? On average, there's 11 people in that space. So that's very low population density. North Dakota is even lower, right? North Dakota, actually, let's go to Wyoming, 6 people per square mile, right? And the populations are also very low. So South Dakota, 46th and 47th, low in both categories. Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming especially, 49th in population density and 50th in population, and then Alaska is the reverse. So the point is, they have less cases because there's less people to begin with, and people are more spread out in those spaces. And so I brought this up because I want to talk about these 7 states that have no stay-at-home order, although they have taken some measures in terms of shutting down non-essential businesses and things that to some degree almost equate to the stay-at-home order, or at least close. And I guess what I'm going to talk about now, and kind of the opposite of what I had in mind when I started looking into this, is I'm probably going to a degree defend these people, because if you think about it, a state like, let's do Wyoming, right? You have only less than 600,000 people in the state, and you have 6 people per square mile. It's likely that a lot of people in the state just don't come in contact with very many other people, and that may be why the numbers are so low. And if we click on the USA and we go look at these numbers, right, where are these states? Well, Wyoming's near the bottom. The ones under it we don't normally consider the states, although in some places they count them as our states. But we have Guam, we have the Marianas, but in terms of the 50 states, Wyoming is in last place. And Alaska's pretty low, so is North Dakota, that's 3rd to last. South Dakota's 5th to last, right? So these are, where's my list here? These are pretty low in cases, so it's kind of understandable that their reaction has been kind of slow, but also they have very low populations and very low population density, so it's unlikely that the virus is going to spread as fast. Iowa is 36th in population density, 32nd in overall population, and they have 1,100 cases and 96 new ones today. It will probably spread, and they may have to issue shelter in place, but you kind of understand where they're coming from. Arkansas, where's Arkansas? I might have passed them. Okay, again, 1,077. Idaho, 1,210. I think there's only one of these 7. Utah, I think, is the only one on this list that's over 1,200 cases. So, from one perspective, I'd like to see everybody in the country just shut everything down at the same time, right? So we can all get it over with. But at the same time, you kind of see where these people are coming from. Somebody on a ranch who interacts with 2 other people on a daily basis, maybe does, and I don't know much about these states, but you get the idea. Some people may be working on large farms and may be very far away from other people and may not come in contact with a lot of people to begin with. And so telling that person to stay at home, does that really make sense? So, something to think about. They may end up shutting down anyway, but just something I wanted to discuss. All right. Coming back here, New York's number 1, 149,000 cases, so they'll probably get the 150 tonight, if not tomorrow. And New Jersey will hit 50,000 probably tomorrow. We are number 2. And then, was there anything else I wanted to talk about with that? No, I did want to come back briefly and talk about Turkey. This one seems to be spiking, right? Turkey and UK. And Turkey, I believe, still doesn't have a shelter-in-place order for their country. And so I'll be watching them as time goes on. Percentage-wise, these two seem to be a little bit higher than most countries, right? Because you look at, say, let's compare UK and Germany. Germany has 5,500 cases out of, and they started the day with 108, right, or whatever this number would be, minus 5.5. UK has 5,500 cases, and they started with 55, right? So for them, it's a bigger percentage. That would be a 10% increase, whereas this would be like a less than a 5, maybe a 5% increase. So these two are 2 to watch. And because there's no stay-at-home order, I suspect the percentage increase may go up, actually, for Turkey. We'll see. We'll watch it. I would not be surprised if they catch some of the countries here, and I don't just mean China. Iran, the numbers look funny sometimes, but a lot of these countries, the numbers look funny sometimes. So, it is what it is. South Korea, the gold standard for dealing with coronavirus, still very low, still testing a lot of people, and I guess they're catching the cases and putting them in quarantine or isolation. I still haven't figured out what the difference is. Russia seems to have a high number based on what they started the day with, which would have been, 7,000, 7,500 before this number. So maybe Russia's coming up the list. And where's interesting, sometimes there's no number here for Japan, and yeah, I think they report it later and then it disappears. They're on a different time schedule from this site, so I don't know. But Japan's one to watch too. Alright, so that's pretty much it for today. Yeah, I don't have the final numbers for today, so I can't give you the percent increase for the United States. I could, of course, show you the from yesterday. We know we had a 9.1% increase in cases and a 14.8% increase in total deaths. Tomorrow, I'll give you today's numbers, and if I do my video late, I'll give you 2 in a row. We'll see. Alright, thanks for watching, and stay home, stay safe, wear a mask, take care.